see. Can we see how many people we have on the line?
Yes, we can. We have 77 participants and 6 panelists right now.
All right, awesome. So welcome everybody to the 2020 Small Business Environmental Assistance Providers Annual Training. My name is Lisa Aschenbrenner Hunt, and I'm going to be moderating these sessions for the week. We wish that we could be seeing all of you in person. We really wanted to make this an in-person training, but I'm very excited that so many people are able to be joining us virtually today. We have around 150 people that signed up, so we're very excited to have those great numbers. And I want to especially welcome everyone who is attending an annual training for the first time. We're really excited to have you and really glad that you're able to join us today. So I have just a few logistics to go over before we get started with our first session. All of you are entering in what they call attendee mode. So you may have noticed that you are not able to, you are muted and your video is off and you're not able to change those things. And we're doing that just to minimize the amount of distractions from people turning things on and off or getting any background noise or anything like that. So if you are speaking, you will be promoted to a panelist shortly before your session starts, and then you'll be able to control those things. We're going to have everybody make a little adjustment to their screen to make this as engaging as possible. We want everybody to have a good view. So we're going to have on the top of your screen, there should be something that says screen view. And if you click that, it should give you an option for side-by-side mode. And that'll allow you to see the video of the presenter as well as the PowerPoint slides. And we recommend that you adjust it a little bit so that the slides are about 60% of what you're seeing, and the speaker is about 40%. And that way you'll be able to see both really well, and it should make it more interesting and engaging. All of these sessions will be recorded and they will be available on the National SBEAP website after the training. So if you miss one or you want to go back and see some stuff again, that will be available afterwards. I am going to be introducing all of our speakers, just their name and title and what they're talking about, and they can give you a little bit more information about themselves if they wish. But if you want complete bios, there is bio links on the agenda for each speaker, and there's also a PDF file with all of the speakers' bios that you can download, and if you want more information on any of our speakers. And we're doing that just because we want to keep the time in check. We have a very packed agenda this whole week, and it's really going to be important for us to stay on time. So we're going to go through some stuff kind of quickly, and I will be breaking in at certain times to just give our speakers a 5-minute or 10-minute warning before the end of their session, and we will be ending and starting on time. I know that's important for everybody. If you have questions, we're going to take those at the end of each session, but you have the ability to at any time put your question in the Q&A feature that you'll see at the bottom of your screen. You'll notice the chat function is disabled, but you can use Q&A, and it's a little bit different. It won't show up on the screen for everybody to see as soon as you submit it, but we do have somebody that's monitoring those, questions, and we will take time at the end, assuming we have time to answer some of those questions. And if we don't get to your question, we can always follow up afterwards. We will have a copy of everything that was asked, so we can do some written follow-ups as well if needed. We're going to have a break in the middle of each day, and it'll be quick 10 minutes, but we do have a couple fun activities for you to do during that time. We have an EPA trivia question that we'll ask you to answer and see how everybody does on that. And then we'll have a little physical challenge for everybody to just get up and moving a little bit, help everybody stay alert and refreshed. If you have any technical issues throughout the training, you can use the Q&A to chat to our tech support. John will be monitoring those. John Murray will be monitoring the chat for any technical questions, and he can respond directly to you. Otherwise, Nancy did send out a link to an FAQ that everybody can look at on the annual training site that has some of those frequent issues and how to resolve them. So you can take a look at that if there's any issues. And then for those of you who have been involved in these before, you know that feedback is really, really important, so we can offer the best possible training for all of you. And it's going to be even more important now having our first virtual training to get everybody's feedback on how everything went. So early next week, you'll receive an evaluation, and we do ask that you just take a few minutes to give us some feedback so that we can you know, adjust trainings to meet the needs of everybody and make this as valuable as we possibly can. So with that, those are kind of the logistics and what we're going to see today. So we are ready to move into our first session. And I will stop sharing. And we will take a moment for our next speaker to get set up. So our first speaker is going to be Denise Sermons. She's the director of US EPA's Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. And she's going to be welcoming us and giving some opening remarks. We do have one change in the agenda today. Doug Benevento, who the deputy administrator, was going to also help introduce us and welcome us today, and he was unfortunately not able to make it, but Denise will be covering for him as well. So thank you so much, Denise, and I will turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Lisa. How's the sound?
Good. Sounds
excellent. I see I had my phone on. Let me take that off because there's a little echo in here. Well, Lisa, thanks for the introduction, and thanks so much for that great logistical information. So greetings, everyone. I trust everyone is safe and well, and hopefully you can see me on the screen. I'm looking at the list of participants, and it's looking very encouraging. How wonderful to see so many of you joining us today. Welcome. As Lisa mentioned, I am the director of EPA's Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. We affectionately refer to our office as OSDBU, so you'll hear me use that acronym often. We're very small, and we are a mighty group dedicated to advancing the business, the regulatory, and environmental compliance interests of our nation's small businesses. Our office is actually located within the Office of the Administrator, and by statute, I report directly to the Deputy Administrator for the EPA. And the cat's already out of the bag, and I was nervous about sharing these bad tidings with you, but yes, there was a late-breaking conflict that developed, unfortunately precluded our acting Deputy Administrator from joining us today. But he does send his sincere regrets and apologies that he could not participate. He really wanted to, and we were certainly looking forward to him in engaging and interfacing with this community, but alas, it didn't work out. But in his absence, and certainly on behalf of OSDBU and the entire EPA, it really is my great privilege to welcome you all to this year's 2020 Annual Small Business Environmental Assistance Program virtual training event. And I'm emphasizing virtual as the operative word intentionally, because this is our inaugural virtual training session that we're pretty excited about. So truth be told, we in the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization did not think we were going to have a training event this year. We were feverishly working towards coordinating an in-person spring event, and we actually were planning for a very special program, in part to celebrate the different anniversaries for EPA. Then, of course, the pandemic hit, and our plans as the world changed as well. And so despite all those challenges, we are forging ahead, albeit virtually. And the good news, as Lisa mentioned, is that it looks like we have a lot of folks that pre-registered and already are participating in this first session. So we're really psyched and very pleased with the turnout. And it's probably larger than it would have been if we did have an in-person setting, just by virtue of the virtual format, which makes it so much more convenient. So the result and promise is that we should have a much richer and a much more robust discussion and dialogue than we otherwise would have had if we did have an in-person event. So, you know, there's a little bit of a silver lining with the dark cloud that the pandemic continues to loom over. Needless to say that this virtual event would not have taken place but for the extraordinary efforts of so many who worked collaboratively to make this week possible. And I really want to extend my deepest thanks to each of you who worked tirelessly behind the scene. So first and foremost, I would like to thank so much Nancy Larson and her entire team at the Kansas State University Pollution Prevention Institute. You guys rock. Nancy and her team were instrumental, and they were also very indispensable in coordinating this effort, and they just provided incredibly critical support. So I just thank you all. It was a great opportunity, Nancy, for me to work a little bit more closely with you, just in part as part of the coordination, and I got to see firsthand the great work that you all do that I've heard so much about from Paula and our team. So again, thank you guys. And to my own ASBO team, they're simply phenomenal. They're led by our newly minted Asbestos and Small Business Ombudsman, Paula Hogue. You all will hear from her shortly. Paula is new in her role, but you all know that she's just doing a tremendous job already and making just an incredible mark and difference to the program. Many of you know Paula well. She's been with the ASBO program since 2008. So you know the wealth of experience and knowledge that she brings to the 507 program. And with that experience, it's just helping to inform her vision. And I think it's going to serve the program very well. And you all know Paula's incredible team. They include Leah Carmichael, Elnora Thompson, Chester Island, Harriet Edwards, and the newest member of our family, Sam Gila, who's already making a great impact. So I too want to thank them for their exceptional work and efforts in coordinating today's week activities, as well as just the good work that they do on a day-to-day basis. And so to you all, our partners that are participating today, whether you're here at EPA in one of our program offices, whether you're part of one of our sister federal agencies as a small business administration, and certainly to our state partners across the country, we in OSDBU and the ASBO program are incredibly grateful for your hard work in supporting the program and providing just exceptional environmental compliance assistance to the small business community. You all know how proud we are that we are celebrating this year the 30th anniversary of the 1990 Clean Air Act amendments, which we know created the Section 507 program. We believe and we argue daily, and we have the great evidence of the good work that you all do, that this is a vitally important program. It's intended to assist our small business community with information on environmental compliance and emission reduction. Unlike the small businesses, and this is a story we in OSDBU tell all the time, unlike the large businesses, small businesses just lack that in-house resource that they can dedicate to having the expertise in navigating environmental, regulatory, and the compliance space. And so having you all as the foot soldiers for the Section 507 program is just critically important in helping to provide them with the basic regulatory information and the guidance, industry best practices that you guys share, information on funding opportunities for the new environmental technologies, and just a host of other resources that really promote what we know is important to our national economy, and that's small business sustainability and compliance. And so I am so happy to salute you all for your service to the small businesses within your respective states and your help in furthering the EPA's mission to protect human health and the environment over the last 30 years of the program's existence. But we also know that this year marks the 50th anniversary for the EPA. So hard to believe, since 1970, the agency has been working towards a cleaner and a healthier environment for the American people. And kind of looking ahead, we see that EPA is stepping up and continuing its efforts and its partnership to further the agency's mission. And I think you're going to hear over and over again over the course of the next 4 days that we're together. You'll hear about our strategic plan. You'll hear about our goals, namely for a cleaner and a healthier environment, for more effective partnerships, and for greater certainty and compliance as well as effectiveness. Those are our goals. And let's be clear, the 507 program and your work is in a very critical and important part of the work of the agency in effectuating those goals. And I think that's why we're so excited that we're able to engage with you, even though it's virtual, in this training, and we are so grateful for your participation this week. We know that working together and exchanging and sharing information will enable us to continue to provide valuable support to America's small businesses, particularly during these unprecedented times. So I know we have a full agenda, but I think it's important that we let you know how important you are to the EPA, to our mission. And I just warmly welcome each and every one of you again. And I know that we're going to have a great 4 days together with terrific discussions, networking, and training. So I think I'll turn it over to Lisa so we can move on with the agenda and the great information that we will be sharing. Lisa, over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Denise. We really, really appreciate you taking some time to chat with us today, and we appreciate everything that you do for the 507 program. So thank you very much. Let me just turn on my video here. Okay. So our next speaker is Paula Hogue. She's, as you heard, the Asbestos and Small Business Ombudsman in the OSDBU program, and she's going to be giving some updates from her office. So take it away, Paula.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome. We are so excited to have this event finally here. As Denise was saying, although we would love to be in person, I am just really excited that we're able to have this event in a virtual platform. I do believe there are some silver linings in terms of having an opportunity to have more people join us that maybe would not be able to travel to our event in person. So again, thank you so much for joining us, and we're really excited to have a great event this week. Okay, so again, my name is Paula Hogue, and I am the new EPA Asbestos and Small Business Ombudsman. I'd like to give you some program updates today, but I thought I'd share a little bit about myself really quickly, just because I know many of you may have known me throughout the years. I have been with the program for quite some time. I started with EPA in 2006, and then I started with the Ombudsman program in 2008. So I've been here for quite some time. I've learned a ton along the way, and I'm really amazed with all the work that you do in the States in terms of working closely with the small businesses to help them understand environmental compliance and regulations. For me, this is a dream come true, to be here and serve not just the small business community, but to support environmental health and human health. It's a big honor for me. When after I graduated from high school, I moved out to California trying to figure out my way. I lived in the Bay Area for a while, and I worked for small retail businesses, coffee shops and restaurants. And I just found that I was really passionate about trying to help them with their environmental goals if they had wanted to reduce their water or waste, their packaging. And it really spurred me to go into the environmental field. And I always had this drive to help businesses in complying with their environmental regulations or going beyond that into sustainability. So again, I'm honored to be here, and I look forward to giving you some updates about the ASBO program. Okay, so Denise was able to give you some background about the OSDBU office. So the ASBO program is located in the OSDBU office. And as she shared with you, the ASBO program, the Asbestos and Small Business Ombudsman program, is within the Office of the Administrator. And that's really important just to note that as far as an ombudsman role, we're here to advocate and support, bring to light some of the potential conflicts or questions that come up for small businesses. And so being outside of the program offices or the enforcement office really does help us in terms of being that advocate and resource across the agency. So I'd like to share that just to give some more context to the ombudsman role, the ASBO program. It's really essentially two distinct roles combined into one program. So there's the asbestos ombudsman role, which was mandated under the Asbestos Hazardous Emergency Response Act. And there's the small business ombudsman role, which was established under Section 507 of the 1990 Clean Air Act amendments. So I'd like to say that I kind of wear two hats, the asbestos ombudsman hat and the small business ombudsman hat. And also in addition, the small business ombudsman role supports the agency in terms of informal small entity compliance and guidance. So we do quite a bit here. We have a lot that we are trying to support and advocate for in terms of small business. To dive in a little bit more to the 507 program, I pulled some of the language out of the statute just to help especially for the newcomers in terms of what does the ASBO program do in regards to the 507 program. So we are really here in part of the Section D of the statute language to monitor. They specified exactly where the ombudsman role should be in the OSDBU office. And we are essentially here the ombudsman role is here to render advisory opinions on the effectiveness of the program, to make periodic reports, and to review information that goes out to the small business community to make sure that it's accessible to the layperson. All right, so I wanted to share with you some of the great work that our program is focused on. I mean, we're going to go through some of the strategic goals for the office and share with you how the ASBO program is supporting those goals. But we've done a lot of work in terms of coming up with some taglines that really are cross-cutting functions of the program. Again, both for the asbestos side and the small business side. We are here to advocate, connect, and serve. And we advocate for the small business community, of course, in the rulemaking process in terms of our monitoring the effectiveness of the 507 program and also advocating for asbestos questions and concerns that come up. We also serve as a liaison for the small business community or the Asbestos Inquirer, and we help connect those questions to their federal, state, or local resources. And lastly, we provide a hotline, which is serving for both asbestos questions and small business questions. And we help fund the national website for the small business environmental compliance. So that's the national SBEAP.org website. Okay, so like Denise said, I wanted to share with you some of the goals for the OSDBU office. Just as in the agency, we have a strategic plan, Denise was really smart in coming up with some strategic goals that are focused to the OSDBU office and how those relate to the agency's strategic goals, kind of in combination and in focus with the OSDBU focus. So of course, we have a vision here of small business first culture. And there's 4 main goals that we're looking towards in terms of our work here at OSDBU. So the first goal is to really serve the OSDBU staff as a small business expert. We also are here to operate as a valued partner in the work of EPA, and we serve as an effective advocate and resource for the small businesses, while also continuously improving operational efficiency and effectiveness. So I'm going to go through each of those goals a little bit more in detail. So in terms of serving as a professional small business expert, we've done quite a bit. As Denise mentioned earlier, we have some role changes and new staff coming onto the office or the program. So myself now serving in this ombudsman role, again, I come with 12 years of experience in this program, and I certainly have a passion that I'm bringing to that. So I am, very engaged and look forward to working with all of you more. We also have a new program analyst, Leah Carmichael, who comes with an asbestos and rule writing background, and also a new grantee, Samuel Gila, who's here to help support in our reporting and communications. But aside from even new staff that are here, we are really entrenched in training and equipping our group. We just actually last week were able to attend a federal ombudsman training, and we really enjoyed that. It gave us a lot of perspective, not just on the small business front, but in terms of what the federal government is doing in the ombudsman role and better understanding how we can serve in that ombudsman function. All right, so operating as a valued partner in the work of EPA. We are not only doing in-reach, but outreach. We are there to support, both internally in terms of what the program offices are doing. If they have events that are happening, we want to help support them, or we're looking to build our partnerships with them, as well as with our regional offices throughout the EPA 10 regions, in addition to really building a connection with our policy and regulatory hub within the agency. And of course, in terms of our outreach, what we do in terms of working with all of you in the states is really a big benefit to the agency, being able to partner with the state programs and the state small business ombudsmans, the small business trade associations, as well as other federal agencies and the general public. Is it choppy? Is everybody hearing me okay? Because I can turn off my video if it's not good.
You are coming through loud and clear, and the video is not choppy. It's perfect. If people do experience some choppy video, sometimes it's on their end because of their internet connection.
Gotcha.
But no, you have come in loud and clear, and your video is great.
Perfect. Okay, glad I stopped to just double check. All right, so the third goal for the strategic plan is to serve as an effective advocate and resource for the small business community. And so like I mentioned, the small business ombudsman role is really working in tandem with the EPA's regulatory steering committee, which is in the Office of Policy and is essentially the hub of the rule development process here within EPA. So we are a member of that. We're able to hear about what's happening and also advocate for early small entity input and engagement. And also the small business resource serving to support the national SBEAP.org website, to support this annual training event, which again, I know Denise did a great job of thanking Kansas State University's PPI program, but Nancy and her team stepping up to the plate and supporting this event virtually. We're just really, really thankful. And we're thankful that we have a cooperative agreement in place to support that. Many of you probably heard that we had a 5-year grant was expiring, and we have the new 5-year grant in place starting August 1st. So we're really grateful that Nancy and her team at Kansas State were able to continue on and supporting this event through a cooperative agreement. So thank you again. And lastly, the ASBO hotline. So that has been a hotline we've had in existence for quite some time. And it serves, we get questions every day from the general public about the asbestos questions. They may have abatement concerns and what's happening in terms of the asbestos in their public school. And so we really try to help answer those questions. And we're also there to support if there's small business regulatory compliance questions. A lot of the times it is, really making sure to defer to the state or local resource that can give them that more dedicated technical assistance. But again, we really want to serve as a liaison for within the federal government sphere to support the public and small business community. All right, the fourth and final goal for the OSWU office is to continuously improve operational efficiency and effectiveness. And we do that in terms of our internal operations. Obviously, adapting to this virtual collaboration environment has not always been easy. Some of our staff were not telework ready. Some of us were not as comfortable using these IT resources that we all have on our computers, but just really didn't use in our day-to-day work life. But now that we're all working from home, many of us, until we are able to go back and meet more regularly in person, I think we've done a really amazing job of being able to collaborate and find ways to coordinate together in this more virtual environment. And again, something like this meeting for this training on a virtual setting has just been amazing that we can have the technology to do this. Another operation that we are improving is getting some alignment within the agency through an ASBO program charter. Now that charter was an idea that actually came from my federal ombudsman group, who said that a charter is really an important best practice as an ombudsman for the federal government. And so that is something that we're in the final stages of vetting and approving throughout the agency, and that should be coming final by November of this year. Communication. So we've worked really hard. That's been a big push for us, is getting our information out there and sharing who we are. So updating our outreach materials, such as many of you are familiar with our Small Biz at EPA bulletin. And we're really excited that we were able to take some of the feedback from the customer survey and really just try to make that a more streamlined and user-friendly document or resource for the small business community. We also have a new group email box, and we're updating our Rolodex and our contacts so that we can make sure we're really serving as an engaged small entity support. And let me just show you some examples of the trifold brochure and promotional flyer. Unfortunately, the flyer is not showing up very well, but these are just some examples. Again, these materials have been created in tandem with the charter so that they reflect all the information and detail that the charter is being vetted and secured through the agency. But these materials will be available and up on our website soon. All right, so finally, I just wanted to close out with some goals going forward. So we have still 2021, 2022, and obviously a big part of what I mentioned earlier in terms of the ombudsman role in the 507 program is reporting on the effectiveness of the program. And that is something that, throughout this program, the 30 years that this program has been in place, there's been different ombudsmen that have taken on that approach in different ways. And I would now, especially in finalizing this charter, my next step is to develop a reporting strategy and recommendation plan. So that's really in terms of just meeting the needs of not just the 507 program, but also, the asbestos ombudsman role is also required to report and draw to light. I like to say, the ombudsman role is there to not fix problems, I don't have the authority to make those changes, but I can draw some light on some areas of concern and come up with solutions or ways to improve them and recommendations. So I will be working on that, and so please be on the lookout. I do plan to at least work with some of you all in developing a strategy that will be effective for everybody. Also, another goal is to, again, we've worked so hard on developing these marketing materials. We're going to be having a big push to get our name and those marketing materials out so that people really know who we are and they can come to us as a support. We want to also make sure that we're having meaningful engagement with the small business trade associations. They are a big part of the pie here in terms of what expertise they can bring. We have in the past had a small business trade association meeting sometimes once or twice a year with our EPA deputy administrator. And we look to do that as well, again, in the near future. We want to make sure that that meeting is really effective. And so I want to dive in a little bit deeper on how to increase and have meaningful engagement with the small business trades. And lastly, I want to make sure that we're strengthening our internal EPA partnerships. It's so important what we do here with all of you in terms of our external outreach and partnerships, but there's a lot of work that we can do internally as well. As I mentioned, outside of just the 507 program, the Small Business Ombudsman role is tasked with serving for the agency the informal small entity guidance and compliance. So we are asked to support the small business community in terms of the rule development process and how the agency considers small business impacts in their rule development. So we are here to support internally as well. And I think that that's something we're going to strengthen in the near future. This is just a list of the team members. We are all here to serve you. I say the ASBO program because it's just me. There's only one of me, but this is definitely a lot of work that is spread throughout the program. And I just wanted to take another moment to thank my team. They are certainly here on the line, and we're all here to support you and answer your questions anytime you want to reach out. And this is how you can reach out. We have our website, which, that's actually something that we're going to be updating very soon. We have some new materials that will be going up, but we're also going to be rethinking the website presence. But of course, subscribing to our newsletter is really important. Please do that if you haven't already. You can email us at our new email group box, asbo@epa.gov. And then, of course, we have our phone line, our ASBO hotline, and our Osdaboo main line. And those are the ways that we're hoping that you can reach out to us. We are here to support you. We're here to support the small business community. And we're really excited to be able to work and partner with you this week. So thank you so much. And I'm happy to take questions if there's time.
Great, thank you, Paula. Feel free to put any questions in the Q&A feature. And Nancy, do we have anything so far?
We do not have anything so far, but I will ask a question just to get us kicked off here. And so the question I would like to ask is, Paula, do you have any use for the annual report that the 507 programs put together each year? Are we able to incorporate that into any of your communications plan?
That is a good question. We haven't specifically talked about the annual report. I certainly think there is room to, strategize about how to use the report. I know a lot of it is really great information that you all collect and share to highlight the benefits of the program. I will say that in our marketing materials, we've certainly pointed out the Small Business Environmental Assistance Program, the 507 program, as far as our key partnerships. So we will definitely be cross-pollinating that way to share not just what we do at ASBO, but also share the great work that's happening out in the States with the 507 program.
Great, thank you. And we did have another question. This asks, can the SBEAPs be part of the trade association meeting that you have planned? I realize during COVID we can't do that right now, but when it is planned, are we able to join in?
That is a good question. Just for clarification on that meeting. So traditionally, that has been a meeting that the Ombudsman role hosts and supports the Deputy Administrator in organizing that event. So although it's technically not the ASBO programs event, we're there to serve and support at the discretion of the Deputy Administrator based on his schedule and what he's interested in. I will say that, again, my interest is ensuring that there's meaningful engagement with that small business trade association meeting. And so I am interested in suggesting, we rethink how we've organized that in the past and strategize a way that could be more all-inclusive, or, originally that meeting was meant to be small and intimate. And so it was just limited to the small trades. But again, that's something that I'd like to look more deeper into and see if there's a way that we can update that plan and rethink it.
Thank you. There's another one that's just come in. Are there any plans to focus outreach to particular small business sectors?
That is a good question. We are certainly not opposed to that. I know that we have a really great program called the Smart Sectors program here at EPA. And the funny thing is, I've learned a little bit more about that program recently. They are also in the Office of the Administrator within the Office of Policy, and they essentially consider themselves ombudsmen. They are independent. Well, they're not totally independent from the agency, but each staff member is focused on an industry sector. And I'm certainly looking to partner more closely with the Smart Sectors program so that we can help focus in on different industry types.
Great. Thank you. I know they have a great website.
Yes.
And I know that we had talked at one time about maybe some of them might be logical connections for RSBLs too. I don't know if you want to say anything more about that or if that is a feasible connection.
I don't know if that's a connection for the RSBLs. I believe they are typically here in headquarters. So this, again, I would love to learn more about the Smart Sectors program, but I do know that most of the staff that manage that are here in EPA headquarters. But we are looking at the RSBL role, the Regional Small Business Liaison role, and that's something that has been in the forefront. Unfortunately, some of our planning was interrupted with the pandemic. We actually had a meeting and we had our travel booked, and we were planning on working with some EPA staff that could help us with the regional support, and we had to cancel it just in time for basically being sheltered in place here back in March. So I'm hoping we'll have some news to come on that shortly.
Great, thank you. And we have another question. Has your program ever partnered with various departments of commerce?
That is also a good question. I don't know if in the past, from my recollection, I don't know if we have done any partnership with the Commerce Department, or at least not specifically the Small Business Ombudsman function. Perhaps on the other side of the OSDBU house, the procurement side, that's possible. We do a lot of work with other federal agencies that also have OSDBU offices. I would have to know a little bit more information about the question. If there was something specifically that we could, focus on with them, that would be helpful.
Great. So Christine, we have some time. If you do want to ask a follow-up or provide a suggestion, just do that through the question and answer. And that's all I have right now. I don't know, Paula, if you have anything more you might want to ask about or tell us about. And otherwise, I'll pass it over to Lisa to moderate.
Okay, no, just finally, I just want to say thank you so much all for joining us today, this week. I look forward to working and talking with all of you and just partnership in the future. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Paula. We really appreciate everything that you do for our programs and help making these events successful, and just all of the collaboration We really appreciate it, and we really appreciate hearing an update from your office. So thank you very much. So at this point, we're a little bit ahead of schedule, which is great. We will be moving to a break now. So we have about 15 minutes actually.